Well, it's about 7 o'clock here in St. Petersburg, and I got up early this morning to finish up all the arrangements and to finish packing and put the final touches on my trip to El Salvador that I'm going to be taking over the next 7 days with Michael Schadt and SOS Ministries. We're going to be ministering to some churches in El Salvador and Honduras and sort of reflecting on a conversation that Michael and I had this week. He calls me up and he says, "Jay, you need to be ready to preach 5 times in the next 7 days." Of course, I'm thinking, I have a hard time being even remotely profound once a week, much less 5 times in 7 days. So hopefully God's grace is going to be upon me. But he did share with me a little bit about some of the churches that we're going to be ministering to. And there was one church in particular in El Salvador that may be the reason that I got up so early this morning. Apparently, this particular church is experiencing very real persecution at the hands of a communist element in El Salvador that's trying to take over. And I was sort of rummaging through my scriptural memory, trying to come up with a word of hope to a church like that. Of course, there's the text in 1st and 2nd Peter, where Peter is encouraging the churches, the early churches that experienced persecution under Nero. And then there's this text out of James that I want to share with you. James 1, 2 through 4. "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." Of course, James is telling the early church to count it joy when they go through various trials, because God is doing this work of patience in them. And I was just thinking this morning how unqualified I am to bring that message to a church in El Salvador that is experiencing very real persecution, when I have a hard time being patient, when I can't find the cream for the coffee, or when I can't find a parking space, or when a button pops off my shirt. I don't know anything about real persecution. And so I'm going to ask that you would pray for me, that I can bring a word of profundity and authenticity and hope and power to churches that are trying desperately to establish themselves in the grace of God and the Word of God in an area of the world that we can't fully comprehend as Americans. And so please pray for me and Michael that our trip is powerful and Spirit-filled. And I'm going to also ask that you be on church on Sunday to worship as Gary Hoffmeyer brings a sermon out of Romans on the joy of salvation. God bless you. Be encouraged, and I'll see you when I return.